Hi there, my name is Angus Wright, and I also go by AngusbyDesign. This is a website called OperatorFirst.ca and nexttoptransit.ca. These are projects that I have created as a bus operator number 5946 for the City of Ottawa, OC Transpo, since 2007. I am a member of the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 279 in Ottawa, Canada. I'm also a member of the ATU Canada Council and also the Amalgamated Transit Union International out of Washington, D.C. So this is what you're seeing is a copy of my website. I've created an article, some open letters, survey, and petition. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through that, and it will act as your invitation to review the information, engage with it in a way that's meaningful, or simply move on. So this is a personal practice that I have in self-advocacy and for driving justice at OC Transpo and beyond. Welcome. Operator first, excellence and safety. This is a concept and a logo that I came up with. I can also be found on most social media platforms. So OperatorFirst.ca and AoperatorFirst.com, as well as OperatorFirst, spelled FIRST.ca. So 3 URLs or URLs, one operating principle in action by bus operators for bus operators in the interest of bus operators. So this will be a podcast, a broadcast, and really a social communication network. This is an article that I wrote today, January the 18th, 2026, called The Whistleblower's Dilemma and 30 Years of Silence in the Capitol by Angus Wright. And so I'll also invite folks to reflect. So reflecting on the core thesis that compliance is currency and dissent is a liability. Have you observed this principle operating within your own workplace or institution? I state that this is not just a workplace dispute, it's a human rights crisis. So where do you see the line between a personal grievance and the broader systemic human rights failure? And what does the philosophy operator first mean to you? And how would its adoption change the culture of a major public service organization? As well as what are the lasting effects of the Watson way of handling dissent on the political and workplace culture at the City of Ottawa? And then I'll ask, what do you think? Do you believe that the institutional silence can be a management strategy to suppress dissent? Yes, no, or are you unsure? Have you ever witnessed or experienced an employee's personal trauma or medical history being weaponized in a professional setting? Yes or no? Should non-binary identified queer and disabled individuals receive explicit radical acceptance and advance directives to protect their autonomy in the workplace? Would you say you strongly agree, you're neutral, you disagree, or you strongly disagree? And is the current approach to dealing with the workplace trauma in public service sustainable? So this is a reading of that article. In Ottawa, silence is not just the absence of noise, it is a management strategy. For 30 years, the machinery of the city, from the transit lines of OC Transpo to the back rooms of City Hall, has operated on a simple, brutal principle. Compliance is currency, and dissent is a liability. So I write this just not as an OC Transpo bus operator, but as a survivor of a system designed to crush the very people it claims to serve. I am a non-binary, queer, disabled person who dared to extend my lifespan through bariatric intervention and ask for safety. In return, I was handed a trespass notice to my own union hall, handcuffed by police, and mocked on social media by the brothers who swore an oath to protect me. The efforts of two local shop stewards and the former mayor of Ottawa, in line with the president of local ATU 279, Clint Crabtree, as well as at least one family member. So we're told that unions are the bedrock of solidarity, but in Ottawa, we have seen our local reduced and dismantled into a service model of unionism, a corporate transaction where members are clients and leadership is the management. When I raised concerns about safety or fraud or the toxic old boys club culture that festers in our depots, I wasn't met with solidarity. I was met with the full weight of institutional exclusion. When I reported the sexual violence experienced and reports didn't make it past the health and safety committees or nor the executive board, even while other men and women in our locals reported the same alarming incidents. So I've seen the receipts. I have lived the reality of having my medical history, my post-traumatic stress disorder, my trauma weaponized against me to paint me as volatile or insane. This is the whistleblower's dilemma. Speak up and be destroyed, or stay silent and be complicit. So this toxicity doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is the trickle-down effect of a political culture in Ottawa that prizes image over integrity. From the Watson era to the present, we have seen a pattern of where troublemakers, those who point out the cracks, gaps, and distress points of the foundation, are isolated. I was arrested for trying to attend a meeting. I was cyberstalked by colleagues and communities who laughed at my distress. I was told by the authorities that truth isn't harassment. This is not just a workplace dispute. It is a human rights cultural crisis. I'm not asking for permission to exist. My philosophy is operator first, not as a slogan, but as a demand. We need a system that prioritizes the human being behind the wheel over the schedule they keep. We need radical acceptance of the trauma this job inflicts and self-determination and respect for our core personal autonomy in how we heal from it. If it begins with me, so be it. Evidence-based practices and tools are offering a new path, a community of practice, peer support, and advanced directives that protect our autonomy. But first, we must break the silence. We must acknowledge that the Watson way of handling dissent has left a trail of broken bodies and minds. I am here still. I am still speaking. And I'm not waiting for the city to give me a voice. I have been building my own. So, in reflection, compliance is currency and dissent is a liability. How have you observed this principle operating within your own workplace or institution? This is not just a workplace dispute, it's a human rights crisis. Where do you see the line between a personal grievance and a broader systemic human rights failure? And what does the philosophy Operator First mean to you? And how would its adoption change the culture of a major public service organization? And what are the lasting effects of the Watson way of handling dissent on the political and workplace culture of the City of Ottawa? What do you think? Do you believe that institutional silence can be a management strategy to suppress dissent? Have you ever witnessed or experienced an employee's personal trauma or medical history being weaponized in a professional setting? Should non-binary, queer, and disabled individuals receive explicit radical acceptance and advance directives to protect their autonomy in the workplace? And is the current approach of dealing with workplace trauma in public service sustainable? There is a link available for the survey if you visit the website. So next is in attention to OC Transpo, City of Ottawa, General Manager of Transit Services, Human Resources and Labor Relations, City of Ottawa, and Privacy Ottawa, the Privacy Officer of the City of Ottawa. Some reflections are: how should an employer balance its duty to protect an employee from a hostile work environment, including online harassment, with the principles of free speech or external actions of other employees? What does restorative justice look like in a large public sector workplace like OC Transpo, particularly when harassment complaints span over a decade? And in your experience, what are the most significant barriers for employees with complex medical conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder or ADHD in securing meaningful long-term accommodations in a municipal setting? And what do you think? Do you believe the City of Ottawa, OC Transpo, has adequate processes in place to address long-term systemic workplace harassment? Do you agree that an employer's duty to protect employees from harassment extends to their activities on social media? And how effective do you think current municipal privacy officer roles are in ensuring employees' medical and personal file integrity? So let's see here. Boom. So this is a letter to my employer, OC Transpo, in the City of Ottawa. I am Angus Wright, Operator 5946. I'm also known as AngusbyDesign, and I live in Ottawa, Ontario. I can be reached at angusbydesign.com. And today's January 18th, 2026. This letter goes out to whoever's acting as General Manager of Transit Services and Human Resources, Labor Relations for the City of Ottawa, as well as the Privacy Officer for the City of Ottawa. So this is regarding a request for status update, full disclosure of personnel file from 2007 to present, and a plan for harm prevention. So to whom it may concern, I am writing to formally request a comprehensive update regarding my employment status as Operator 5946. As per my most recent medical assessments, I'm currently on prolonged sick leave due to complex medical conditions, including post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and major depressive disorder, which have been exacerbated by a hostile work environment. I have also been assessed with severe ADHD. Pursuant to the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, I formally request a complete, unredacted copy of my employee file, including but not limited to all performance reviews, disciplinary notes, and attendance records from 2007 to present, all internal emails, memos, and reports regarding my employment, specifically those involving previous supervisors and management, including John Manconi, Ken Gordon, Troy Charter, and Thessa Mavrudis, and any others in position of service or authority, and all documentation related to the trespass notices issued against me regarding city property in 2019 and any risk assessments conducted regarding my safety or conduct. And medical professionals have indicated that I am currently completely impaired from participating in any remunerative activities due to in part to the psychological injury being sustained in the workplace and its impact on my physical, emotional, social, and environmental wellness. The current ambiguity regarding my status is detrimental to my recovery. And I request a written statement clarifying my current employment classification and a summary of facts from the date of original hire in 2007. The city's position on accommodating my disabilities like PTSD, borderline personality disorder, the physical malabsorption I experience due to the bariatrics surgery, and should there be a return to work be considered, and if there is an accommodation, if it's even necessary, given the actions taken by the employer and the union, and the steps the city is taking to resolve the outstanding harassment complaints I have filed regarding the conduct of fellow employees and management. So I continue to be subjected to harassment by city employees or former city employees, most recently, but not limited to, but specifically Operator Shawn Moore, 5935, who has used social media to mock my medical history and publicly humiliate me. The city has a duty under the Occupational Health and Safety Act to protect employees from workplace harassment, even when it occurs online. So I am asking directly, how does the City of Ottawa, OC Transpo, plan to intervene to prevent further harm to my reputation and mental health? I await your response within a reasonable 10 business days. Of course, acknowledging confidently that I've been awaiting a restorative justice since 2008, when I first reported bullying in the workplace harassment to my union and employer. Sincerely, Angus Wright. So reflections. How should an employer balance its duty to protect an employee from a hostile work environment, including online harassment, with the principles of free speech or external actions of other employees? What does restorative justice look like in a large public sector workplace like OC Transpo, particularly when harassment complaints span over a decade? And in your experience, what are the most significant barriers for employees with complex medical conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder or adult ADHD in securing meaningful long-term accommodation in a municipal setting? And what do you think? Do you believe the City of Ottawa, OC Transpo, has adequate processes in place to address long-term systemic workplace harassment? Do you agree that an employer's duty to protect employees from harassment extends to their activities on social media? And how effective do you think current municipal privacy officer roles are in ensuring employee medical and personnel file integrity? The following is a letter to Union Leadership Local 279, ATU Canada, and ATU International, with attention to Noah Weinberg, President and BA for ATU Local 279, our members and Executive Board, John Danino, President of ATU Canada, our members and Executive Board, and John A. Costa, International President of ATU, our members and Executive Board. Some reflections. What are the ethical obligations of a union's duty for fair representation when a member is alleging long-term member-on-member harassment, and what recourse should the member have? How can a union's leadership ensure transparency and ethics when allegations of privileged information being weaponized to exclude a member from democracy are raised? And describe your view on a difference between a solidarity model and a service model of unionism. And which one do you believe best serves the average member? And then what do you think? Do you believe a union executive board should have the authority to ban a member from the union hall? To what extent should union leadership be held accountable for prevailing or for failing to prevent severe ongoing harassment between members? And do you believe ATU's constitution obligation, not knowingly wronging a member, is consistently upheld in practice? So this is a letter to the union leadership, local ATU 279, ATU Canada, ATU International, with invitations to all members. Regarding a demand for representation, file disclosure, and intervention in long-term member-on-member harassment. So brothers, as well as sisters and siblings. I'm writing to you as a member in good standing who has been systemically failed by the duty of fair representation. I assert my rights under the ATU Constitution to receive a full accounting of my standing and the union's actions regarding my case. I request immediate access to my complete file held by Local 279, ATU Canada, and ATU International from 2007 to present, including minutes from the executive board meetings on September 9th, 2019, where former President Clint Crabtree alleges a vote was taken to ban me from the union hall. All records regarding the trespass notice issued to me on September 10th, 2019, which led to my false arrest while attempting to attend a membership meeting, and the status of any and all internal charges or claims currently active against me. I require the release of all notes, emails, and communications from previous executive boards, specifically the Watson and Crabtree administrations, regarding my advocacy, my gender identity, and my medical status. It's my belief that privileged information has been weaponized to exclude me from the union democracy that I'm entitled to participate in. I have provided evidence of severe ongoing harassment by Brother Shawn Moore, Operator 5935, and others who have publicly mocked my disability and issued veiled threats against me, like meeting my end. This violates the ATU obligation to never discriminate against a fellow worker and not knowingly wrong a member. So what is the union doing to intervene today in 2026? I demand a concrete plan on how the ATU will stop this harassment and restore my safety within the organization. Silence is complicity. Also, my expectation is that my local, ATU Canada, and International take steps to unblock my profiles from union social media accounts. Given the lack of accountability, transparency, and ethics demonstrated over the years, I think it's incredulous that leadership demonstrates such weaknesses in the face of democracy. So I expect you to be models of our Constitution, not insult us with your antics. So in solidarity, Angus Wright. Reflections. What are the ethical obligations of a union's duty of fair representation when a member is alleging long-term member-on-member harassment? And what recourse should the member have? How can a union's leadership ensure transparency and ethics when allegations of privileged information being weaponized to exclude a member from democracy are raised? And describe your view on a difference between a solidarity model and a service model of unionism, and which one do you believe best serves the average member? And what do you think? Do you believe a union executive board should have the authority to ban a member from the union hall? And to what extent should union leadership be held accountable for failing to prevent severe ongoing harassment between members? And do you believe the ATU Constitution's obligations, not knowingly wronging a member, is consistently upheld in practice? The following is a letter to my insurance company, Canada Life. Attention to the case manager, ombudsman, Canada Life Assurance Company, Disability Management Services Office, DMSO in Ottawa, and a request for full file disclosure and protection of privacy and safety. Reflections are: what safeguards should long-term disability providers like Canada Life have in place to prevent the leakage or leverage of sensitive mental health information in an employer or to an employer or union? How can the claim process be reformed to ensure that an individual's right to peace, essential for trauma recovery, is respected instead of leading to administrative harassment? And what is the role of an insurance ombudsman in resolving conflicts where a claimant believes their credibility is being undermined by third party correspondence? And what do you think? Do you believe LTD insurers prioritize the claimant's recovery or the administrative interests of the employer? And have you ever felt pressure to return from work from an insurer despite your medical team recommending continued leave? And should an LTD file, including all internal notes and correspondences, be released to the claimant upon request, like either fully unredacted or with minor redactions? Letter to Canada Life. Employee number 124761. This is attention to the case manager and the ombudsman, Canada Life Insurance Company, Disability Management Services Office, DMSO in Ottawa. So this is a request for full disclosure and protection of privacy and safety. So to whom it concerns, I am writing regarding my ongoing long-term disability claim. As you are aware, my conditions involves complex trauma, PTSD, borderline personality disorder, and physical chronic pain. I formally request a copy of my disability claim file, including all medical reviews, specifically the reports from August 2019, all internal notes, emails, and telephone logs from the Ottawa DMSO, any correspondence between Great West Life, Canada Life, and OC Transpo, City of Ottawa management regarding my functional abilities or return to work planning. And I have well evidenced reason to believe that sensitive medical information regarding my mental health has been previously leaked or leveraged by my employer and union representatives to undermine my credibility. I require a written explanation of the protocols in place to protect my privacy, and my recovery is contingent on a sense of safety. So the pressure to return to a workplace that is actively hostile and harassing is detrimental to my health. I am asking for clarity on how Canada Life will protect me from its ongoing administrative harassment and interference in my self-advocacy and treatments for recovery. And how will you ensure that my right to peace, essential for the management of my conditions, is respected during this claim process? Sincerely, Angus Wright. So again, reflections. What safeguards should long-term disability providers like Canada Life have in place to prevent the leakage or leverage of sensitive mental health information to an employer or union? How can the claim process be reformed to ensure that an individual's right to peace, essential for trauma recovery, is respected instead of leading to administrative harassment? And what is the role of an insurance ombudsman in resolving conflicts where a claimant believes their credibility is being undermined by a third party correspondence? And what do you think? Do you believe LTD insurers prioritize the claimant's recovery or the administrative interests of the employer? Have you ever felt pressure to return to work from an insurer despite your medical team recommending continued leave? And should an LTD file, including all internal notes and correspondence, be released to the claimant upon request. And then this is a letter to the Ottawa Police Service's attention to the Chief of Police regarding a request for peace bond and review of unchecked harassment in reference to case 19-238057 and other reports. So some reflections: what are the systemic barriers that prevent reports from cyberbullying, death threats, and stalking from escalating into protective actions, such as a peace bond section 810 recognizance? In cases of complex workplace disputes, how should police officers balance enforcement of a trespass notice with an individual's right to attend an association or a union meeting? And what is the public perception of the police response to mental health crises? So particularly when the crisis is allegedly being utilized against the person in distress. And what do you think? Do you think the Ottawa Police Service adequately investigates multi-year patterns of online criminal harassment? Are you familiar with the purpose of a peace bond section 810 recognizance? And in your opinion, what is the most critical step the police should take to ensure a vulnerable person's physical and psychological safety in a situation like this? So increased monitoring of the harasser, immediate application for a restraining order, or thorough review of initial reports. So this is the letter to the Ottawa Police, and it's written by me. I live at 299 Somerset Street West in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, N2P2L3, Unit 506. So attention, the Chief of Police and the Ottawa Police Services. So this is a request for peace bond and review of the unchecked harassment in reference to case 19-238057 to the Ottawa Police Service. I am filing this formal request for a peace bond Section 810 recognizance against Shawn Moore, Ottawa resident and OC Transpo operator 5935, and requesting a review of the circumstances that have allowed his harassment of me to escalate unchecked. I have documented a multi-year pattern of criminal harassment by Mr. Moore and others, including death threats, so a public post stating I would meet my end if I reported him again, stalking, so posts in a page that I do called Spotted in Blackburn Hamlet, a personal social media page tracking my physical location, and cyberbullying, so targeted videos mocking my medical history and comparing me to individuals in mental health distress. And I will add that those are also involving police interactions. So in 2019, I was unjustifiably arrested by Ottawa Police Services officers Constable Harrison, Constable Dennis, and Constable El-Badri for allegedly trespassing at my own union hall, a charge based on false pretenses by union leadership, specifically Clint Crabtree, who admitted to the arresting officers that he had made a decision the night before to ban me unilaterally and by himself. This arrest utilized my mental health crisis against me rather than offering support. The complainant, President Clint Crabtree, routinely and systematically falsifies a narrative as a means to seemingly achieve his uncommunicated goal. After repeated coercive tactics, manipulations of members, and false claims, his actions in provincial and federal courts, as well as during a complaint process, he took liberties to lead with the Canadian Industrial Relations Board in 2017, indicating a long-standing and increasingly disturbing issue. So I'm asking, how did we get here? How does an individual like Shawn Moore and others been permitted to engage in continuous harassment despite my previous reports? So reports like 2021 805 149 and 805 325. So I request a formal meeting to provide contextual and factual evidence, seek support to obtain information requested of my employer and union, and to formalize the application for a restraining order or orders to ensure my physical and psychological safety. With due respect, the conduct condoned in private and in public by the Ottawa Police and its members have led to a necessity to seek measurable approaches. In 2020, I found it necessary to pre-register with the SIU, or Special Investigations Unit, due to the conduct of an online harassment campaign targeting the social support that I offered Koa Huang during his self-advocacy to address racial discrimination, publicly seeking to create a thin blue circle of support in response to clear, problematic, thin blue line rhetoric being participated in by documented issues within the organizations across the City of Ottawa and seemingly reaching the rest of Ontario and Quebec at least. Respectfully, Angus Wright. So again, what are the systemic barriers that prevent reports from cyberbullying, death threats, and stalking from escalating into protective action, such as a peace bond, Section 810 recognizance? And in cases of complex workplace disputes, how should police officers balance enforcement of a trespass notice with an individual's right to attend an association or a union meeting? And what is the public perception of the police response to mental health crises, particularly when crisis is allegedly being utilized against the person in distress? And do you think that the Ottawa Police Service adequately investigates multi-year patterns of online criminal harassment? Are you familiar with the purpose of a peace bond, Section 810 recognizance? And in your opinion, what is the most critical step that the police should take to ensure a vulnerable person's physical and psychological safety in a situation like this? So increased monitoring of the harasser, immediate application of the restraining order, or thorough review of the initial reports. So from Operator First, from silence to solidarity, a journey of resilience, advocacy, and holistic recovery. Angus Wright is more than a statistic and a system. He is the voice behind Operator First and the driving force of Next Stop Transit. With a career spanning decades as Operator 5946, Angus has lived the whistleblower's dilemma firsthand, navigating the complexities of institutional silence, workplace toxicity, and the profound personal cost of speaking truth to power. Identifying as a non-binary, queer, and disabled individual, Angus's journey is one of radical survival. His lived experience is deeply rooted in overcoming complex trauma, PTSD, navigating neurodivergence, ADHD, and managing chronic physical health challenges. Rather than these experiences, or rather than letting these experiences silence him, Angus has transformed them into a foundation for healing and advocacy. Today, Angus is a distinguished practitioner in the field of peer support and holistic well-being. He holds certifications as an advanced level wellness recovery action plan facilitator, qualified practitioner of emotional CPR, certified personal medicine coach, and is trained in mental health first aid. His practice, AngusbyDesign, integrates the mind, body, and spirit, offering a path forward that prizes autonomy, restorative justice, and the operator first philosophy, prioritizing the human being behind the wheel over the schedule that they keep. And Angus invites you to join a movement that demands safety, transparency, and dignity for all workers. He stands as a testament that even after years of exclusion, one can build a new voice, loud, clear, and centered on justice. So in the images, you'll see the top image is myself acting as the co-facilitator for OC Pride at a flag raising ceremony, wearing a shirt that was created. I'm standing next to President Clint Crabtree. In front of me is a former operator, now management or supervisor, I'm not sure, and another member. And then the second image shows me on August 19th, 2019, when Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson chose to come out as gay after all of his tenure. I mean, we all knew. Tis what it is. But it was absolutely ridiculous. And so I attended this public function with a protest card that was also an email to the mayor directly. And then it references personal actions that he took, seemingly to take ownership, and yet who knows why he does anything that he does. But I am wearing a set of high-heeled boots that are 2 sizes too small. I say that because I suffered the consequences of blisters. I'm wearing burgundy tights and a long flowing 70s inspired skirt that was inspired by Katie Lang's 1984 song Hanky Panky. You can't see it, but I was wearing a little skin forming camouflage tank top underneath in my original uniform. The sign and the uniform shirt, both items that I marched in 2016 Pride Parade as a protester, and a nod to the need for gender equity, and a reflection that it goes a little bit further than boys, girls, penises, vaginas, and being trapped in our bodies. And then the third image is see you at work, health and safety, justice, workers' rights by men for men. So I'm a huge advocate for men. Men make up 75% of all completed suicides. Men process trauma differently, and the suicides often are more violent due to stigma and other factors that go into it. And so I'm quite okay to center the needs of men while recognizing the complex intersectionality of these things. So you're welcome to connect and collaborate. I say we are who we serve. We're peers, not pros. I'm inviting my community colleagues and allies to connect with me directly. So whether you're seeking to understand the whistleblower's dilemma, or looking for a partner in healing, or ready to challenge the status quo, my door is open. Feel free to email me and visit the website. And a call to action is that you're welcome to just request more information. I strongly encourage you to share these conversations along with the links to my reflections and my survey with your networks in order to break the cycle of silence. I also offer some services. So drawing on a wealth of certifications, from trauma-informed peer support to conflict resolution and extraordinary experience people. I am available for booking in the following capacities. So individual, couple, or group support, tailored peer support sessions rooted in lived experience and evidence-based frameworks like RAP, ECPR, CPMC, and Reiki. Institutional and organizational support, so consulting on creating safety, inclusive, and trauma-informed workspaces. workshops and trainings, so facilitation of RAP seminars, emotional CPR, personal medicine coaching, and Reiki treatments and workshops. Respite and recovery, so guidance on self-care strategies, boundary setting, and navigating burnout. Discussions and advocacy, so speaking engagements on workplace harassment, disability rights, and the Operator First philosophy. And collaborative art projects, so creating outlets for expression and community building. When it comes to my surveys, why does anonymity matter? So supporting marginalized voices through anonymous surveys. In environments where silence is a management strategy, fear and the primary barrier to truth. In environments where silence is the management strategy, fear is the primary barrier to truth. Many marginalized members, whether due to disability, gender identity, or mental health status, fear that their personal struggles will be weaponized against them, just as mine were. An anonymous survey option is critical because it's safety over fear. So it allows individuals to share their reality without threat of being labeled volatile or facing retribution from leadership. It breaks the echo chamber, so it captures the voices of those who have been systematically excluded or banned from traditional feedback channels like our union hall. And true data, so it provides an unfiltered look at the culture of toxicity that official reports can often sanitize. And then by guaranteeing anonymity, we empower the silent majority to step out of the shadows and into the light of truth. And this is an affirmation of solidarity. So my commitment to driving justice at OC and beyond. I am done asking for permission to exist. My philosophy is operator first, not as a slogan, but as a demand. I affirm my unwavering solidarity with every worker who has been bullied, harassed, or silenced. My fight for file disclosure, for a peace bond against harassment, and for the right to be heard is not just for me. It is for every one of you who has felt the weight of the old boys club pressing down on your dignity. And I pledge to use my voice, my credentials, and my lived experience to dismantle the structures that harm us and to build a community of practice defined by empathy, safety, and justice. In solidarity, Angus Wright, Operator 5946, Certified Peer Specialist, Advanced RAP Facilitator, and guy behind AngusbyDesign.com, as well as Operator First and Next Stop Transit. Ooh, well, thank you everybody for that. I welcome you to like, comment, subscribe, share, all the things. Feel free to reach out if it's meaningful. Please remember that none of anything that I have ever posted has been a justification for negative or harmful interactions, nor is this an opportunity for people who have not done the right thing to continue to not do the right thing. So please be peaceful today, and just for today, I will not worry about the outcome of this disclosure, whether or not my life is in jeopardy. So peace be with you and everyone else, especially and specifically Shawn Moore, or as he's known as online, Sausage 35 or Sausage 5935. And friends, take care, everyone.